And today I would like to thank every Pleiadian soul, every soul that's ever had a life as a Pleiadian, every human that's ever had a life as a Pleiadian, and every other soul in existence. We are one. Greetings! I am Crispy, a Gaian Mayan Pleiadian emissary of light. Een Lak'esh, Alakin. I am another you, you are another me. We are one Godshiousness. Welcome to episode 4, where I will be talking about chapter 4. What's that called? Memories in the Free Will Zone. And finally, this chapter gets into sexuality. So I will also be going into chapter 20, Sexuality, a Bridge to Higher Consciousness. And I will be going into this book right here, the Pleiadian Workbook, and the second in the series, because let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. All the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. And in more specific, we are going to talk about sexual healing and healing the sexual divide that has been, for lack of a better word, forced upon us. So let's begin chapter 4. I am jumping to page 2 of chapter 4. Each of you knows in the deepest portions of your being that you have come here for a purpose. You have come to begin the pivotal movement to release everything that has bound you up until now. Whoa, that's a lot. All you need to do is begin to allow light, energy to come into your body. You must begin to vibrate with this energy and to clear the dramas of the shadow ego, those emotional blockages that cling to parts of your physical body. Trauma gets stuck in the body. The issues are trapped in the tissues. It can be released through very intentional body work, and you can do that yourself, as well as with a very special healer. There are millions of them. You will find that your society has been very cleverly designed to keep you from knowing this most intimate and rewarding and exciting portion of yourself, your inner nervous system of consciousness. As guardians of light, which also means the family of light, you are going to create options of reality and bring them to the mass consciousness of the planet. You will do this by first doing it for yourself, creating an inner peace and inner love by accepting who you are and all that you have done in life, and all things that have been done to you in your lifetime. By accepting who you are and all that you have done and all that has been done to you. Immediately I need to launch into what I call embodying forgiveness. This is very clearly soul-splained in the shadow ego work section of all of the readings I give to people. And the way that this evolved is also very clearly soul-splained in this video, so I'm not going to go into it. But by using this contract with the highest degree of intentionality, you can completely heal yourself. That's what happened to me. It was downloaded into me under the most extreme of circumstances, which you can find out in that video. It is the key to the evolution of consciousness for many of us who have had traumatic situations, and that includes, I would say, most humans. Now, when you are able to accept and unconditionally forgive behavior that was not uplifting, and when you can unconditionally forgive your own behavior and that of others, sexually and otherwise, it will open a chakra center in your body that is located around the thymus gland between the 4th and 5th chakras. It is through here that eventually the nervous system will open and information will flow in. And through here that you will begin to regenerate the physical body and move into unconditional love. Now, it has been introduced. Chapter 4, page 41. We need to unconditionally forgive ourselves, which again is very clearly outlined in the Shadow Ego Work segment of all readings I give to people. In order to transcend our own shadow ego. Now, I call it the shadow ego because in actuality, there is nothing wrong with the ego. The ego began to be vilified, especially by Dr. Sigmund Freud, approximately 140 years ago, I believe. And that has continued very much until today. People going around saying, kill your ego, is actually the most egotistical thing you can actually even say. It's not possible to do so. And it wasn't until, I believe, the information from Mr. Paul Selig channeling the Melchizedek collective consciousness, which, by the way, was one of the teachers of Yeshua, began telling us that the ego is sacred. The ego itself is of God. In essence, Paul is saying that the ego is sacred, holy, and divine. Now, it does happen to be that the shadow ego, or the dark usage of energy, has produced all of the rape, torture, crime, murder, and basically all of the negative behavior of humanity. And then, of course, there's the spiritual ego, but we're not going into that right now. I'm going to bring us back to sexuality. And moving into chapter 20, sexuality, a bridge to higher levels of consciousness. Very deep inside the mechanism of sexuality is a frequency that can be attained, that has been sought after and misunderstood by many people. It is called orgasm. The orgasm has been distorted from its original purpose. Your body has forgotten the cosmic orgasm of which it is capable, because society has taught you for thousands and thousands of years that sexuality is bad, dirty, slutty, evil. You have been taught this in order to keep you controlled and to keep you from seeking the freedom available through sexuality. Sexuality connects you with a frequency of ecstasy, which connects you back to your divine source and to light and to love. The sexual parts of the body are avenues to pleasure that create frequencies that heal and stimulate the body and potentially lead it to its higher spiritual self. Sexuality invokes a spirituality that is free and that looks at itself as a creator. Interesting. Monogamy tends to work for most of you very well because of where you are vibrationally. When you have many partners, you tend to be less than honest and hide who you are. You share a little here, a little there, a little everywhere, and scattering your seed. Many of you have used sexuality as a distraction and a way to avoid intimacy rather than develop it. When you work one-on-one intimately, you develop trust. You can learn about trust in a monogamous relationship because it acts as a mirror for you. Today, by the way, is Ka Etsnab, which means paring obsidian mirror knife, brought to you by these three wonderful people, all of whom who are very familiar with sexuality. Just going to leave it at that. Many of the fears you have are based on what you have created for yourselves and what you have done to others in your sexual life. Your sexual history affects every other portion of your soul. So, all of your soul's issues are broadcast loud and clear throughout your sexuality. Stop judging. Get neutral about what you have done, no matter what it is, no matter how heinous it seems, no matter how difficult it seems, and no matter how much violation it involved from you being the violator or you being violated. Again, embody forgiveness. Until you have forgiven yourself and forgiven everyone who has done things to you, you will never be free. You will never be at peace. The soul has incarnated innumerable times in every possible role. All of us have been the rapist. We have been raped. We must forgive ourselves and everyone else. It's that simple. Sexuality is a frequency. It represents what was not taken away from you, even though your history, your memories, and your identity were removed and scattered by the reptilian DNA rearrangement. We're going to do some church bashing here. So sorry for anyone who's a member of the churches. The churches came about as organizations, businesses to control religion and spiritual development, and to create jobs, and to create hierarchy, and to create a cult. Very few churches came about with the idea of bringing information to people. Churches bash sexuality. Sexuality was twisted into something very bad, primarily by the churches. Women were told that sexuality was something they had to undergo to serve men, and they had no control over the birthing process. This was primarily done through the Garden of Eden lie, which also served directly to divide and conquer. The sex division, the war of the sexes, began with the myth of the Garden of Eden. It is poison to the human soul. Everyone who pushes that poison is harming the human soul. They are directly blocking spirituality. They are directly blocking the evolution of consciousness. Love is the essence that is to be created in all relationships, sexual and otherwise. Ideally, sexuality is explored through feelings. The third and fourth chakras connect you to the emotional and compassionate selves, which connect you to the spiritual self. The spiritual self is the part of you that is multidimensional. Your spiritual body, represented by the white glyphs in particular. And every human being has a white glyph in our step family, or it's your core self birth sign. You are connected to your multidimensional selves through your feelings, and it is in your feelings that you primarily get stuck. Accept that your stuff comes up for a reason. Guess what? Your stuff, your issues, are the treasures of your life. They are how you learn. Sexuality is the primary issue because it is the secret self, the self you hide from. This again goes back to Freud, but was especially brought to light by Carl Jung with the creation of the term the shadow and all of his shadow work. I also recommend this book by my friend Melanie Ryan, The Golden Shadow Method. Sexuality is a key. It is a doorway to the higher realms of consciousness. As you redefine yourselves, and as the light-encoded filaments give you a new definition of yourselves, you are going to change who you are sexually as well. Sexuality must come up for all of you, and we will say from experience, it is the area that you are most frightened of at the same time. If you are stuck on the idea of love and cannot comprehend what is going on with it, your difficulty is that you are looking for love outside of yourself. Okay, we have said over and over again that the most important thing you can do is to love yourself. Now I'm going to jump over to Amorah Quan Yin's second book, the Pleiadian Workbook. This is from page 144. Tantric sexual energy runs intercellularly as well as with the Kundalini up the spinal channel and through the chakras. It is pure creation energy. It is the stuff cosmic ecstasy is made of, and one of the energies that has been most damaged and distorted on Earth. Refining and clearing your sexual energy, behaviors, and attitudes is necessary for spiritual growth anyway. Your sexual organs have a direct link to your soul, and what you do with sexual energy directly impacts your relationship to your soul. Your relationship to your soul. Now here we're getting into a little bit of duality. The small self and the higher self, the personality, the shadow ego, and the ego, and the soul. So let's call it a triality. All of us have a shadow. You can't deny that. Even if you stand, even if you've done all of the work in every Jungian book, including Mayan embodiment, shadow ego work, because it is definitely influenced by Carl Jung. Even if you've done all the shadow work in the world, and you are metaphorically standing completely underneath the light, you will still have a tiny shadow. Okay? Now, a lot of us never do that work our whole life. And the shadow, you can picture it as though you are in one room, small-ish, maybe like this one. I can touch the wall and touch the wall, okay? And just picture one candle. Well, you can either hide away from that candle and then you will be very much in the shadow. A little bit of you will be lit for others to see. Or if you go really close to the light, the candle, you're going to have a big shadow behind you, which you can't see, but others can. So you need to be in a perfectly balanced place. So, is balancing your divine feminine and divine masculine important? Well, according to the Pleiadians it is, at least if you believe anything Amorah Quan Yin brought in. Let's take a look at the introduction, Resolution of Duality. When I drew a Mayan oracle card for this book, shuffle, 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 draw a card. Boop. I received the same card as for one of my earlier books, Pleiadian Perspectives, her first book. The card was Resolution of Duality. Here we are today on Tone 2. That's what the resolution of duality means. And oh, look at that, it's the sacral chakra. What? This is amazing. It seems quite appropriate as the main concerns in this material are ending the male-female split, healing your soul with sexual energy, and connection with your Christ self and the God-Goddess inside all of us and everything. Now, Chapter 6, Healing the Male-Female Split. Do you want to know how to do that, my friend? Just allow me to help you. I will be doing a very thorough episode on this, but just to let you know what's happening. Reading from page 111. reframing repetitive sexual and intimacy patterns. The first process is designed to assist you in releasing old negative thought patterns and beliefs that prevent you from achieving deep and fulfilling intimacy with yourself and others. So again, you, intimacy with yourself. There are lots of diagrams in this book, and as I said, we will carefully examine them. But for now, let's take a look at page 116. For thousands of years on Earth and infinitely longer in this solar ring, and by that they mean solar system and beyond, male-female separation, competition, distrust, and control have been primary sources of pain and karma. As we enter into the age of Aquarius, it is imperative that this be corrected and that sacredness and equanimity be restored. Equanimity. Centered. No cravings, no aversions. The issue is the internal and external balance between male and female in all aspects of your life. There's no way for me to make this more clear. However, we can add a little bit of information from the church. They created a dark fantasy where God is a man. An angry old man with an angry old beard. And his partner in crime was Satan, another angry man. The two of them worked together to threaten all of humanity and torture them while living with the idea of being tortured for all eternity, and that's a really long time. It's all completely false. As stated earlier, the main purpose behind the Garden of Eden myth is to divide and conquer humanity by dividing the sexes. The concept of original sin, if you combine that with the concept that God created man in his own image, that means God is also an original sinner. Ooh, didn't think of that one. Oops. There is no such thing as sin. It does not exist. Every single human is sacred, holy, and divine. We have a lot of clearing to do. That's what we are doing. We are bringing light in. That's what we are doing. We are raising our vibration. First, we need to heal. We have wounds. We have deep, deep wounds. We need to heal them. That is completely possible for every single human being. We chose this body, we chose our parents because our soul knew that we were likely to have all of those experiences happen to us, so that we would be traumatized in those particular ways, so that we would heal those traumas. Those are what we needed. Everything is perfect every single time. everything that happened to you, everything that you did to others was perfect. You only need to unconditionally forgive yourself and unconditionally forgive everyone else. That's all you need to do. And you will be reborn as a cosmic consciousness soul that you actually are. You already are a cosmic consciousness soul. You are a holy hologram. You are a divine spark. You are a sacred fractal of Godshiousness. Every human being is. It could not be any other way. We are all sacred fractals of each other. Everyone on here is completely, intimately connected with everyone else on here. There are no humans that are not on here. We all together make perfection. It's that simple. It's not easy to embrace or to accept, and the only resistance is the shadow ego. So know that and love that. It's part of the game. It's part of the process. There are so many wonderful books and teachers for healing yourself, your shadow ego. Mayan embodiment is one way to do that. There are, luckily, a million others. This is one way because Mayan embodiment is Pleiadian. Just happened again. I'm speaking my perfect truth to you as always. I love you unconditionally. You are me. There is only one thing in existence, Godshiousness. Een Lak'esh, Namaste.